From our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening. Shocking new figures have revealed assaults on Tasmania's bus drivers have doubled in the space of a year. Tens of thousands of passengers are also skipping payment, with calls growing for security to be beefed up as soon as possible.
The daily raids causing chaos on Tasmania's biggest public transport network. Metro Tasmania bus drivers feeling the strain of increased violence and people not willing to pay their way.
Some of them, the less desirable types, if you put pressure on them, then they tend to turn nasty.
Figures released in the Legislative Council show in the 6 months to February, nearly 90,000 trips weren't paid for. The union believes that number is actually higher.
We would suggest that Metro's figures are perhaps slightly underestimated.
Fare evaders have cost Metro more than $200,000 in revenue, while the number of driver assaults is already double the amount of last financial year. Labor says drivers are walking away in droves.
We've seen a massive exodus of drivers from the Metro organisation, which is having an impact on the reliability of services.
Passengers having mixed views and experiences.
They're not getting the money to keep the jobs and they've got to quit services.
Personally, I haven't seen any issue.
I definitely feel safe on the buses that I travel on. I have heard from other people that other buses are more dangerous.
The state government has announced transit officers are on their way, but can't get on board just yet.
He hasn't outlined the timelines for them to be deployed or trained before they're deployed.
It is going to take some time, obviously, before they actually hit the ground. We're also asking now for some interim security assistance.
In a statement, Michael Ferguson says the initiatives targeting antisocial behaviour will bring drivers and passengers extra comfort. John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
There have been fireworks in State Parliament, with repeated questions sparking allegations of bullying. Labor, Greens and Independents zeroing in on Racing Minister Madeleine Ogilvie, grilling her about animal welfare.
Retired runners rallied on Parliament lawns, with fears over the future of the greyhound adoption program.
We know that there are many more dogs that come out of the racing industry that can possibly be rehomed.
Teeth were bared inside the House too. Racing Minister Madeleine Ogilvie battered with questions, including about the Office of Racing Integrity.
Ask the Chairman of Stewards and Chief Vet to kill greyhounds with catastrophic injuries off track. Also, track death statistics can be down.
And concerns raised by harness stakeholders last year.
What have you done since these matters of racing integrity were raised to satisfy yourself?
It's not appropriate for me to comment on specific employment matters, and I would need to just refer to that group to make sure that they're comfortable. Operational matters are not a matter that the Minister can wade into.
The 6 questions and comments about her clothing.
Are they cockroaches on your blouse?
Order.
Sparking an accusation of bullying.
Greens members have criticised, teased and mocked my colleague, Miss Ogilvie, for the clothes she wears.
Yeah.
This is consistent, offensive behaviour.
Today's barrage follows sustained questioning of the Racing Minister and her handling of the former Tas Racing CEO's departure, with Labor accusing her of lying about what she knew.
Every time a question is asked of her about racing integrity and from us about animal welfare, she's incapable of answering it.
Tempers boiling over. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
Clarence Mayor Brendan Blomley has accepted the Premier's request to discuss the Kangaroo Bay development on one condition. The developers and industry groups aren't there too. The Premier yesterday wrote to all stakeholders to convene a meeting, calling for a way forward on the hotel proposal. The Mayor says Council has made its position clear and initiated the process to buy back the land. Developers are yet to start substantial work on the site after 6 years of ownership. One of the 3 men linked to the death of prisoner escapee Nicholas Scott has today fronted the Hobart Magistrates Court. 21-year-old Moona man Sean George Barrow was released on bail after appearing to face 1 count of murder. The matter has been adjourned to a date in late May. A world expert in cancer legislation is in Hobart, urging the state government to expand the legal safety net for firefighters. Alex Forrest is hoping Tasmania will lead the country by increasing the number of cancers covered under special legislation aimed at protecting their health while on the job.
Exposed to deadly toxins on a daily basis, Tasmania's Firefighters Union is calling on state parliament to increase the number of cancers covered under laws designed to protect the health of those at the coalface.
This is an issue that is at the forefront of our members' mind. Only 2 days ago, one of our members passed away from cancer.
The presumptive legislation allows career and volunteer firefighters to access compensated screening and treatment without proving they contracted cancer on the job.
The screening that the department and the fire service has at the moment is targeted at the current male listed cancers.
The state's current policy caters for 12 different types of the disease, the union pushing to add another 8, among them cervical, thyroid and ovarian. Alex Forrest, an expert in international cancer law, branding the current model discriminatory to women.
When a female decides to be a firefighter, they are taking on risks that are sometimes greater than what their male counterparts have, because their female reproductive system is so sensitive to carcinogenic exposure.
It comes after the federal parliament's decision to cover all 20 variations, but whether each state and territory does the same is up to them.
The number one priority for any person working on the front line, whether that be in our health system, our education system or indeed our emergency services, is safety.
Alex Forrest and the Firefighters Union will be meeting with members of Parliament as well as WorkSafe Tasmania over the next 2 days to plead their case. And if all goes well, will be the first state or territory in Australia to make the change. Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
Tim Payne has revealed the moment he knew it was time to retire. Payne hung up the gloves last week, ending a decorated career which saw him become just the second Tasmanian to captain the Test side. Speaking with Billy Brownless on Triple M in Hobart today, he says going to training had become a battle.
I love training. I was saying to a few people last week that I couldn't think of anything worse about a month ago than going to training, and that's when I knew it was probably time to give it up or have a rest. So.
But he's not done with cricket just yet, lining up for clubside University in this weekend's Premier League Grand Final.
So where do you bet, Tim?
I'll be sliding in at 7 tomorrow. Well, it's the traditional wicketkeeper spot, isn't it? Number 7. So.
Payne also spoke of his support for a Tasmanian AFL team, vowing to be its first signed-up member. Parts of the South Launceston street are being fenced off following the discovery of a sinkhole extending 20 metres underground. A 600mm gravity sewer main collapsed yesterday in Thistle Street. TasWater says no properties are affected and there will be no impact on water supply or quality. Repair works are underway with traffic management in place. The road is expected to reopen in a couple of days. Pharmacists around the state will now be able to administer more vaccines in the lead up to flu season. The move is receiving mixed reviews from health professionals with concerns for patient safety.
A call to arms heard loud and clear.
We've stepped up. We can do it.
The state government is arming the community's defence ahead of flu season, expanding the list of eligible vaccines which can be administered by pharmacists.
Allowing our pharmacists a broader scope of practice, for example, ones around shingles and indeed travel vaccines.
We know it's going to be a particularly busy flu season, so we certainly support our pharmacist colleagues with us trying to vaccinate as many of the population as possible.
Increasing access for patients while aiming to alleviate pressure on our health system.
They bring the script in, they don't have to go up and annoy the GPs, and we love our GPs, we work really closely with them, but it means that we can vaccinate them here in the store.
But some doctors fear for their patients' safety, particularly when it comes to the shingles vaccine.
The college hasn't been supportive of this because it's a live vaccine. Giving a live vaccine does convey extra risks and you have to really look into what a patient is taking before you give them a live vaccine, so we haven't endorsed this.
The AMA is also reluctant, calling the move premature, stating first and foremost, doctors are the best providers of medical care to patients. Nonetheless, the advice from medical professionals is clear.
We're urging people to get vaccinated as soon as possible.
Rolling up sleeves for improved immunity. McKenna Bailey, 7 Tasmania News.
Community services say they're seeing more demand than ever, with homelessness rising in Tasmania. New data has revealed a 45% rise in homelessness in the state between the 2016 and 2021 census, and providers say things have worsened in the past 2 years.
We've heard so much about the cost of living crisis. We know that our population growth in Tasmania is continuing to escalate. So we don't see these figures as being stemmed anytime soon.
Today, the Premier revealed reforms to its Housing Connect service, which was due to be completed this year. It will be 12 months late. Legacy has marked 100 years in Hobart, launching a new book outlining its history. Look After the Misses and Kids charts the charity's history, telling the stories of the group and the war widows and children they supported. They're hoping to inspire younger people to join and keep the organisation going for another 100 years.
Tell the younger generation what Legacy's done and how we'll need to change to more adequately care for them in future.
My mother herself said that she was a better person for having been looked after by Hobart Legacy, and I don't think you can ask more than that.
Legacy currently supports hundreds of families in Tasmania. It's not a tall tale. Tasmania Zoo is now home to a third giraffe. 14-month-old Jojo was hand-raised by his devoted keeper in Queensland before embarking on a mammoth 2-day journey to make it to Tassie.
Making himself at home near Launceston, there's high hopes for junior giraffe Jojo.
He's actually settling in really well. He's been super confident. He's taken everything in his stride.
It's a family affair at Tasmania Zoo, joining the state's first giraffes, Hunter and Talbot.
I think Joe's going to love it here. He's got 2 very nice little uncles here to show him the ropes and introduce him to the whole world. And he's got plenty of keepers here who are going to spoil him rotten.
Dinner time is a tall order. Each animal will eat up to 25 kilograms of food a day.
Jojo's favourite food is broccolini. He's a little bit spoiled. Our boys like carrots, but yeah, he's got a slightly finer taste.
It's been a long road for this not-so-little guy. It took 48 hours and a 4.2 metre tall container to transport the juvenile giraffe from Queensland's Darling Downs Zoo.
Spirit of Tasmania won't let us on. We went on the sea roads. But yeah, a giraffe on a boat is a bit of an interesting... I'm sure you could write a book about it.
Jojo has a special relationship with keeper Lisa. She was part of the team that hand-raised him from birth.
We had to build a special crush to walk Joe into so we could feed him and get the bottle up high enough to reach for him.
Tasmania Zoo's bachelor pad plays an important part in Australia's giraffe breeding program. An all-male colony like this leaves more space for breeding herds at other zoos.
Life for a giraffe at Tasmania Zoo is pretty cruisy. Lots of carrots and leaves to eat, and then sleeping out in the sun.
Living the high life. Annie Green, 7 Tasmania News.
Thousands of people are expected to descend on Launceston's CBD on Saturday, with a much-loved shopping event returning. More than 90 businesses have signed up for Super Sale Saturday, which is replacing the iconic Crazy Day.
There's everything. There's bargain tables, there's racks of things being cleared. You name it, you can come and grab a bargain. It'll be the best shopping day you've had for a long time.
I love that kind of market feel. You don't always get that, and that's what we try and strive for on Super Sale Saturdays.
The event begins at 10 a.m. with a range of free and live entertainment through the Brisbane Street and Quadrant malls. Tasmania is set to break into song with fan favourite Festival of Voices set to return this winter. Organisers have released the first round of local, national and international talent performing at the 10-day event.
It's really, really juicy. There's a lot of good fun stuff going on. And also a lot of kind of very familiar things. We're bringing the Big Sing bonfire back to the Salamanca area.
More than 10,000 fans are expected to take part. The Festival of Voices begins on June 30.
Mayor King will see out at least another season with the Kangaroos. The Launcestonian is among 25 players signed up for the AFLW's 8th title race. Clarence's Nicole Bresnahan is among them, along with Hobart's Ellie Gavalis.
Good evening. Hobart 20 today. Launceston our high with 24. Devonport recorded 21 and Burnie 19. Most temperatures close to average. Ouse reached 23, Smithton 22, Friendly Beaches 21, Low Heads and Helens Grove and the Bass Strait Islands all 20. Strawn 6 overnight to a top today of 19. The west and north found most of the sunshine today as this low cloud moved right over the state from the west. Scattered areas of cloud over most of the nation too, apart from South Australia. Thunderstorms are over the tropics and eastern New South Wales. Tomorrow a high pressure ridge creeps over the state, another weaker one over Queensland. A trio of troughs also spread over the North Island. 10 to 20 knot variable winds over the north tomorrow, but stronger west-southwesterly winds over the east and south. Swells in the south to 4 metres. Those winds up to 30 knots, so we have a strong wind warning in that region from Tasman Island to Low Rocky Point. Hobart tomorrow 21 and partly cloudy. Huonville the same, 22 the top for Campania. Launceston 23, partly cloudy, mostly sunny for Devonport, 22 the high, 22 also for Georgetown. Burnie mostly sunny, 21, 18 for Strawn, a shower creeping into the west, mostly sunny though for Wynyard. 19 for St Helens and a possible shower, sunny for Swansea, 22, 21 the high for Port Arthur. The UV slips tomorrow to a moderate 5. On Saturday we may spot a light shower over the west and far south, but not a bad start to the weekend. Fine and partly cloudy weather continues into Sunday. However, the showers are back on Monday, affecting most regions. Partly cloudy and 29 in Perth, a top of 25 in Adelaide tomorrow. Cloudy weather for Melbourne and Brisbane. Showers and storms for Canberra and Sydney. Partly cloudy and 15 in Hobart, partly cloudy and 19 in Launceston. Sunny though in Devonport and currently 17 degrees.
And that is where we leave tonight's news. We'll have news breaks throughout the evening, but for now, on behalf of the entire team, it is good night.